And now we come to the interpretation. We are moving towards fullness, from separation to fullness. But that fullness can never be an isolated one. It has to comprise the whole of the cosmos, the whole universe. So how to integrate our own experience with the whole universe? That the two verses are very beautiful. In 5, Bhavat aveshata pashyan bhavam bhavam bhavanmayam vichareyam nirakangsha praharsha paripurita. Now the question is always, in spiritual life also, you don't know what comes first and what comes second. We have certain texts, tell you exactly first this, then that. But in mysticism, it is not like that. What comes first? Oh, I'll tell you something. Why I'm using that word mystical. Just in bracket. Maharaja, when he comments upon a text, he always says there are two levels of interpretation. One is Sthula Drishartha, and the other is Sukshma Drishartha, and the third is Rahasya Drishartha, actually three. The physical level, you can see things at the physical level, at the subtle level, and at the, we can say, esoteric or mystical or spiritual level, Rahasya Drisha. The same thing can be interpreted at one of these levels. So Rahasya Drisha I translate mostly as mystical, you can say esoteric, or spiritual is too general, because Rahasya is really more the mystical. There are two words which I translate as mystical, is Rahasya, and then one in the Paratrishika Tantra, where Shiva or Bhairava says, Etat Guhyam Maha Guhyam. This is the secret, the great secret. And now comes Abhinavagupta with his ingenuity of interpretation. He says, Mahagud is very secret. How will we know? It is also non-secret. Maha Aguhyam. It is none, so that mystical experience, we say it's only reserved to very few souls, very high souls, and what will we do with? No. The same reality is also open to all. Aguhya. It is guhya, it is hidden, and it is also manifest. Etat guhya maha guhya. Maha aguhya. And the whole purpose also of this meditating on this kind of text is to have access to that which is not hidden. Yet it is mystical, it is esoteric, it is spiritual, whatever you call it, but it is also open. See, unless it were open to everybody, then you would criticize why God is partial, he only allows a few souls to have that experience. No, it is open to all. Only, and that is where we need prativijñā, we have to recognize it. That this is our secret. It is our manifest secret. So that's why I'm just explaining why I'm using mystical, the two words in Sanskrit, rahasya and guhya, hidden. You're coming from Vasish Guha, so there's the Guha that is hidden in the cave. Now, here we have the question what comes first and what comes next. Bhavat aveshata pashyan bhavam bhavam mayam. Here, in the two verses, for me, there is a practice. Some verses, they sound, it's just very high spiritual poetry, but there's a practice involved. But the problem is that first you have to be Bhavat aveshata. Bhavat means you, Lord. You have to be possessed by the Lord, or the Lord has to enter you or pervade you. And this is something which is very common. All of you who have studied Kashmir Shaivism, avesha, samavesha, the highest state is not samadhi but samavesha. Samavesha means complete union, complete possession, and the root meaning is, of course, avesha, to enter. And there is, I think, one scholar who has translated to enter, to be entered, to be possessed. It is both ways. See, the divine possesses you and you possess. It is a mutual. And that is why it's sam. Avesha is just entering. But sam means completely, means mutual penetration, mutual pervasion. So here he says, actually the condition of this practice is bhavat aveshata. That means from having entered you, having pervaded you, having been possessed by you, whatever you translate it. So first, if you are possessed by the divine, then it's already over. Why do you have to practice? But this is the whole thing, things are not logical here. Spiritual things are not always logical. Occasionally they are, but bhavat aveshata pashya. Having been possessed by you, or having entered you, let me perceive every object in the world as being of your nature. Bhavam 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 bhayam. Being you. You look at the tree, you look at the cup of tea, you look at another person. Everything is, you can perceive everything as divine. Now this is the practice, I would say, but it presupposes that you are already in a high state, and then, but it can happen spontaneously, and all of you have some experiences, I'm 100% sure, where you are in a high state, and then you look out and everything looks full of light, full of the divine. So it's spontaneously. And if you make it a practice, then you do it as a kind of contemplation. You go, of course it's much easier in nature than in a city or somewhere, but whatever it may be, perceive every object as divine. That's Swamiji has such a funny example. One of his disciples, he says, I look at bruised shoes and I get into the highest state. So even looking at a pair of dirty shoes or anything, every object, perceive it as divine. So it is both a practice and also something which can happen spontaneously. And what is the result? If you are able to see everything as pervaded by the divine, the result is vicharya nirakamsa prahasya paripurita. Then I can move around in the world without any desires, without any expectation. I can move freely and be completely filled with completely blissful, joyful, prahasya paripurita, absolutely happy and moving around in the world without any attachment, without any expectation, without any bondage, without any desire, nirakanksha. So in that state of perceiving the world as divine, not just the world, but everything as divine, that makes you free. Makes you free from desires, from expectations, from disappointments, from all kinds of bondages. And then you're free, you can move as you like. You can be full of joy. And so this is, it is both, as I say, both an experience and a practice. And even one way of practicing is also, suppose you had the experience once spontaneously. In practice you can repeat it. See, much of our practice is actually repetition. Repetition of what we already have experienced or have practiced. And so repetition is bhuya bhuya. Again and again, you do the same thing. See, you have experienced it, and then you remember. There's a practice in Vijnana Bhairava also to remember a certain state of spiritual state, and then to go back to that memory and to revive it. So I think this is something anybody can do if you are aware of having experienced such a state of seeing everything as divine, filled with the divine. And then you try to recapture that experience by meditating on things outside nature. Now the second these two verses are very much related. Bhagavan bhavata bhunam bashiyam akhilam jagat tavat aivasmi santushtas tatona parikityase. These are very much connected. And it's all these verses are about fullness. Actually the result, O Lord, being completely filled with you, let me see this now. He goes from every object then to the whole universe. Akhilam Jagat. Let me perceive the whole universe as filled with you. And then what happens? Tavat aika eva asme santushta. Only then I will be completely satisfied. Now, this Purna, it is not just an abstract or highly philosophical. It has to do with the emotions. See, being satisfied, and that's very tantric. See, in the Tantra it says that it says, now I am satisfied at the end of Vijnana Bhairava also. See, being satisfied, it is not after having eaten good food at a lower level, but then here you have consumed that divine food and it satisfies you. You don't have to renounce there. You have to be full of that. And fullness is satisfaction. So this is very beautiful because it makes us free from a wrong. I'm not against renunciation and so on, but a wrong understanding of renunciation. No, you should not like this sweet. No, you just renounce it. No, it is not. You have to be in that fullness and that satisfaction. So paritushta, santushta. And then what is the result? Then, no, prakityase. See, the devotee is always troubling the Lord with his prayers and with his wishes and his desires, and you fulfill this and that. So he's always troubling. See, if I'm full, if I see you in whole fullness in the universe, I will not trouble you anymore with my prayers. It's very human relationship with the Lord. Otherwise you go to the Guru and always you want Guruji, ye Ashirvad Diji, wo Ashirvad Diji, forget it. You don't trouble him with all his prayers. But you can only do it if you're full. If you're fulfilled, you don't need anything. You can roam around in the world, be happy. And so this is, actually, you will see, Utpaladeva is not a tantrika. He is a bhakta. So all these great authors and philosophers and mystics, they have different orientations spiritually. And this is also beautiful for our understanding the tradition. There are so many varieties of spiritualities which are possible, which have been practiced by these great masters. Some were more philosophical, some were more devotional, some were more tantric. And Utpaladeva was not a tantric. You will not find any tantric symbols or practices here. And Abhinavagupta was not a bhakta. So one has to recognize he was a great philosopher, great tantrika, and a great aesthetician. But his stotras, I have translated them, you know, the German and the English is also in the press. His hymns are not bhakti, except for Bhairavastava, because Bhairavastava is very, but otherwise there's not this kind of bhakti which you find in Utpaladeva. So we can have also, any one of us, we have different spiritual inclination, you know. Some are more devotionally minded, some are philosophically minded, and or tantra, whatever, is more close to your nature. And it is always said, it depends on our inclination. Yes. So Utpaladeva was not a tantrika, but of course he was a bhakta, and that I have to mention already, he, on this text, is one of the sources of aesthetics in the whole Kashmir Shaivism. And I must confess that I am a little bit responsible for the scholars to discover that, because I always said he is an aesthetician. He has great approaches to aesthetics, the beauty of the. And now they have the big volume here on Utpaladeva. There are a lot of articles on his contribution to aesthetics from his spiritual experience. And that is the root cause. Aesthetics is not just some nice art and nice music and all, but it comes from the mystical. And exactly from seeing the beauty in every object of the world, and in every person, and every human being, in every and seeing that is the basis of aesthetics. So we will find that in several of his shlokas like that. And here, of course, the few verses which have to do with fullness. And the stotra had started with Viyoga Samsara. And this Viyoga, this separation, this alienation, which constitutes samsara, it can be only overcome if you realize the divinity of the cosmos, the divinity of everything. And if you've experienced that fullness, then the Viyoga, that separation, alienation will be overcome. And that's why he goes here from Viyoga to this Paripurna, this Purnata, which includes everything. And so once he is completely satisfied and attains that fullness, then he will not trouble the Lord anymore with his prayers. Because prayers always, you have some need, you have some desires, but all those desires are fulfilled. So this, I think we will learn, Tricia will teach you these two shlokas to recite. Now, verse 7, I did not read you Billy's translation because sometimes my approach is a little different. Verse 7, her translation, let me first. Viliyamanastraya eva vyomni meghalava eva bhava vibhantu me shashvat krama naimalya gamina. She translates, just as cloud droplets are absorbed in the sky, so are the various constituents of the universe absorbed in you. May they always shine visibly for me as I proceed through the stages of spiritual growth. I am sorry I have made a translation, but I have to find it. Now, in most of the spiritualities, the empty sky is an image of the absolute, of the purity, of the complete pervasion. And sometimes there are some clouds, like in our sky of our consciousness. But these clouds normally, slowly, they dissolve. Clouds are not permanent in any case. Actually, this describes an experience. His experience, of course, his experience. William Anaya? So these objects, all the objects of which before he has considering or meditating on them as divine. And here these objects are like the clouds, they hide the purity of the complete blueness of the sky. So they have to dissolve, like in our consciousness. There are clouds, of course, sometimes they may be very clouded, sometimes very light clouds. But even a light clouds hides the purity of the whole consciousness. So they dissolve. Gradually. And Shimaraja says gradually because we have the samskaras, we have these impressions, which are like clouds covering the sky of consciousness. And gradually, depending on this samskara, shesha dayapi, vigalanti. Vigalana, this is like Hindi also, galna, dissolving. So it is nothing substantial. It dissolves. And just like the clouds in the pure sky. And gradually that purity, nirmaliam, which is, now I'm reading Maharaja's commentary, Shuddha Chit Rupa Gachanti. They merge in the samskaras, which are like clouds in our consciousness. They merge in the pure consciousness, Shuddha Chit. Rupatvam. Their nature, even the clouds or even the samskaras in our consciousness, their nature is purity. But they gradually, if they dissolve, then they merge in that purity itself. They just become that purity, which is Shuddha Chit Rupatvam, which is pure consciousness. So we have in Vikana Bhairava also several practices with the sky, Akasha, from the Upanishads, and of course in Buddhist texts also, that purity and emptiness of the sky. Sometimes emptiness is emphasized, sometimes purity, sometimes pervasiveness, but it's all qualities of the sky, like of the divine. So this, but these are very personal information which I have received from my tradition. The closest disciple of Swamiji, she had, that's what I tell you, one verse can have a tremendous effect. She had a realization with this verse that everything just dissolved, and she was in that pure, and she was in that state of pure consciousness. Charity, yeah, her sister told me. So these are not just poetry. It's not just poetry. It can have a very powerful effect. If you are at a certain stage in your spiritual life, then one word like this can just change, and empty that all these clouds and all these samskaras, all these obstacles. Yes. Now, Swaprabha was the Pariyanta Tvanta Santati Santatam Bhavatum Ekopi Bhava Madhyat Bhavan Mani. Actually, this is, I have reserved this for our seminar on Madhya. It's a few Madhya in the Śivastotrāvalī. In Bailey's translation, from the center of the world, let there be visible to me your magnificent jewel that dispels the depths of darkness with its radiant luster. And here, Kshemaraja, Brahmamadya from the center means from the center of the universe. Vishvasya Madhyata, Kopi iti, Shuddha Chit Rupa, that pure jewels, which is pure consciousness, that jewel, because a jewel, we will have that in the Stava Chintamani, the wish-fulfilling jewel. Chintamani, wish-fulfilling jewel. And that wish-fulfilling jewel Sarva Abhilasha Purakatvat, because, as we have just said before, because it fulfills all your desires. From the center of the universe, which is that pure consciousness, that jewel, it fulfills all your desires. Sarva Abhilasha Purakatvat. And what is that wish? What are these wishes? That even avyuttanam kritva bhatu, may it shine. So we have two states. I mean, in yoga language would be samadhi and vyuttana, but we say samavesha, and vyuttana means the state of external awareness, the outside going, sense, with sense perception. And samadhi is absorption. So that wish to be fulfilled is that even in the outer perception we remain in samavesha, in that same state of union, of internalization. At least two levels of meaning. One is physical, you have levels, stages, external, and the other is stages in yoga. In Buddhism also, the Dasha Bhumika, different stages of yoga. And this, Bailey, she has taken it only in the external sense. Bhumika is also a place. It is a place. But I understand it as different stages. She has taken it as sight. On what sight do you not dwell? What exists that does not exist in your body? I am wearied. Therefore, let me reach you everywhere without difficulty. So this is, you can apply it to, see, people go on pilgrimage to certain sacred places that the Devi is there, and then there's some other manifestation of the Devi, or that is also Bhumika. And you have to make so many pilgrimages. But on which, this is where is it that you do not dwell? Is there any place where you are not dwelling? That if you take it externally. But if you take it in a yogic sense, there's no stage in which you are not. This is also very consoling, because we think, oh no, I have not yet reached that Bhumika and that stage. No, don't worry. At every stage he is there. Is there any stage where you are not in your spiritual life? And what is it that is not your body? Not vapus. Its body is not in the sense of deha sharira. Vapus is the divine, that light-filled body. You can see it's not a subtle body, but the cosmic body, vapu. What is that? What is it that is not your body? Shrantas tena aprayasena savata tvam arapaya. I am tired. I am tired in looking for you here and there, and this stage and that stage. I'm tired. Now, without any effort, aprayasena, let me attain you everywhere. Aprayasena. See, we make effort both in yoga and in going outside to some sacred place, in some other place, and so on. But that is very tiring. So let me, without any effort, aprayasena, reach you everywhere. Sarvata Tvam apnuya. So this is a very justified prayer. Let me reach you everywhere and in every stage, every situation, every condition. So Bhumika is a very good, I love these words, which cover different levels, from the physical to the spiritual, even architectural. When you go to the temple, you have Bhumikas, different stories. But here, of course, it is mainly I would say, the yogic sense of different stages.
Mataji, it is a prayer and also a complaint. He is complaining.
Complaining, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I'm tired of looking for you in different stages, so you give me that realization that you are everywhere. You are in every stage, in every condition. How much time do we have? Okay. We can complete that thing. Yes. Bhavat anga parishvanga sambhoga svechayeva me katatam iyati prapte kim nata nachitam maya. It's very beautiful, very beautiful. Let me tell you. Shibeli, O Lord, may I realize at will the bliss of embracing your form. Having attained that, what have I not accomplished? Form I don't like. The body. Embracing your body. Bhavat anga parishvanga, sambhoga, that joy, that joy of embracing your body by will, svechaya. Katita. See, in Hindi also katana. Something happens. If that happens, if that is happening, and I have attained, no, kim katitam iyati prapte, kim natana chitam maya. If I attain that, it happens, it happens. So it happens is always something which you do not produce, something which happens. If I attain that union with you, then what have I not attained? What is there, what I have not chitam, what I have not conquered, literally? Is there anything which I have not conquered? Once I have embraced your body, once I have embraced you, there's nothing which I have not conquered. See, all the obstacles, all the troubles, all the nothing else. So it is union. It is union. Kim nata nachitam maya. And I will maybe tomorrow I will speak about the upayas, how these poems, how these verses and descriptions correspond to the upayas. But I can tell you already in brief that Bhakti, especially Para Bhakti or Advaita Bhakti, is Shambhavopaya, is the divine means. And then we will even come, when we come to chapter 1, Anupaya, no means, nothing to be done. But here he says in the commentary, this is Shambhavopaya. And Shambhava means union, divine union, and the Icha, Jnana Kriya. Icha is just unifying your will with the divine will. And Jnana is Shakta, Shaktopaya, and Kriya, action, activity is Anava. But we can come to that. But just because here it is clearly said, this is Shambhava. This is Shambhava. This is divine means. So union where again it is only by Icha. It is here clearly said, only by will. And will, again, it is maybe not a good translation of Icha, but it's not, we understand by will, the will to power or something, individual. It's not, Icha means energy, Icha Shakti. So by that power of will, that is the only thing, nothing else to be done. And then if I unite, attain that union with you, that is Shambhava Upaya. That is a divine means. Now this last verse is again something which has, I still remember when Manju, who has composed this stotra, and when we came to the last verse, she was in tears. It is so touching. It is a prayer, but it's absolutely moving. Prakati bhavananya prarthana bikadarthana kurmastina dadamyantas tvam eva megaya mahe. You manifest yourself. Bhakti Bhava. I will not trouble you with any other prayers, but just show yourself. Make yourself manifest. And I will not trouble you with any other prayer, any other request, if you manifest yourself. And there's this beautiful word, Tvam eva mrigaya mahe. Mriga means a gazelle, and there's a verb, mrigayati, means to run, to hunt. Like the gazelles, they are very swift, and when you're running after the Lord, we only search for you, we only hunt after you, like the gazelle. Tvam eva mrigaya mahe. We are only, searching for you, running after you, pursuing you. And this is very touching. Yes, Lord Swamiji says, "Oh Master, please appear to me now. I am craving and longing for you. I only ask you to appear to me, and in turn, I promise that I will never ask for any other thing." As long as I am in this world, I desire only you and nothing else. Tvam eva mrigaya mahe. So this is also what we always say, the condition for the effectiveness of any spiritual practice is one-pointedness. So if you're a bhakta, your one-pointedness is just to attain the Lord. And if you're a yogi or some other tradition. But the important thing is, Tvam eva, I want nothing else. I only want you and nothing else. Tvam eva megayanahi. So that exclusive desire for the fulfillment of that search. And that is why it's very significant. And I was reading and reciting this stotra for many months. And then it came to me, it's so clear, the sequence from the Viyoga to the Purnata, from that separation to that fullness. And still there always that desire for this complete union, and that there's nothing else to be sought than but the Lord. And before also he said, I will not trouble you anymore. If you give me this, then I won't trouble you with any more prayer. And so it is a process. It's a process of the intensity of the emotion. We know this from many of the bhaktas in the tradition, not ours, any tradition in India. That intensity of the search for the divine and that fullness, the aim is to attain that fullness where no desire remains, no disturbing cloud. But there is a practice which we can do as practice, that is to look at everything in the world in the divine light. It is a meditation. It is not difficult. Only, again, focus. It needs focus, it needs desire, it needs that longing for that fullness. And so although I don't want to put logic where there is no logic, but still I'm just following his expression in different verses. And ultimately it comes to that. It comes to that desire for fullness where nothing remains. And then you roam around in the world full of joy. You don't have to bother about any other objective or any other desire to be fulfilled. That's mostly we are driven with some other desire, maybe even spiritual desire. But here, and that drops also. So I think with 6, we have entered the text only now. Yeah, now I'm giving you a summary of the whole chapter from Viyoga, which is characteristic of samsara, and which means alienation from ourselves, from everything, from nature, from others, etc., and from God. So even a second of that, even a moment of separation will disturb us. Then in verse 3, that this gap, there's a gap which has to be filled. The gap of separation, gap of one moment of separation, that has to be filled and has to be complete. And not theoretically, but experientially. That's in verse 3. Paramartha, we know it. Theoretically we know. This is our philosophy, he says. But I have to experience it actually. And then it comes Purna, and verse 5, overcoming this separation is only possible by an integration of the whole of reality in the divine union. So it is not our individual fullness unless we can integrate the whole of reality. Then only it is fullness. And that is why if there's still some clouds which are disturbing that purity or that completeness, so these clouds will also dissolve. And then that fullness will completely overcome that state of viyoga, that state of separation. And that will give us freedom from desires, freedom from expectations, from disappointments. And that freedom will give us joy. Paharsha paripurta. So I think this, I cannot say more, but if you go back to the text, you will see that it's very beautiful. And so I think we can conclude. Swamiji, want to say something? No. Because I don't want to proceed further. And so tomorrow we have 7, which is short, but is one of the core for us of the whole Śivastotrāvalī. Yeah. And again, we can take out from these shlokas a practice, not just the poetry. And here the practice mainly to look at everything in the universe in the light of the divine. I think we should conclude here, even if it's a bit, because it depends on the text which we have. I would suggest, if you have any question, we have decided, you please write it on a piece of paper with your name, and when the occasion comes, I will reply. But I don't want a discussion in between. Praharsha paripurita. With one shloka we end, yes. 6? No. Yes. Yes. You tell that on the list of shlokas, number 6?
Number 7.
Huh? 7.